Hi there, this is Heather Van Wild with Raindrop Works, coming to you from downtown Portland. I planned to do this a couple hours ago, but ended up meeting up with some comrades of mine and had a chance to hang out, so yeah. Anyway, earlier today I was at the Multnomah County Courthouse for the bail reduction or release hearing for Alan Swinney. It was a very interesting day, we'll put it that way. Ended up starting half hour late because, first off, nobody was ready on time, including prison transport. But the DA kind of threw a curveball that really upset the defense attorney and has interesting implications going forward. Basically, what they suggested doing and was not heard on today and may not be in the future, we don't know yet, but there was calls for they call preventative detention, which is basically revoking Swinney's bail. So instead of looking at reducing bail, we're talking about, no, you're not going anywhere. The way that all started up, there was not enough time to respond on it, and there wasn't enough time today to even broach the idea. Some of the paperwork that was referenced today, I haven't gotten a chance to see yet. Apparently stuff was submitted after I last checked the docket, so I'll be doing that when I get home. Basically a response to some of the statements that were made by the state yesterday, a few days ago. Especially one of the things that I saw was Alan Swinney's own words about how he wasn't going to abide by pre-trial restrictions such as no weapons or curfew or ankle monitoring, and the idea that if the options were that or staying in jail, he wanted to stay in jail. It seems that he may not be standing by that right now, but time will tell what happens in the future. Again, none of what happened there ended up actually doing anything. There was a lot of concerns about getting close to what they call forum shopping, which is when an unscrupulous lawyer goes to different courts or judges trying to find one that is going to be agreeable to their viewpoint. And because Swinney has already had 2 of these bail reduction hearings and was denied both times, there were questions that something like that was happening again, that they would just keep trying to file motions until they find a judge that agrees. And that's not how things work. One of the things that was definitely a sticking point was between his last reduction hearing in November and today, he did get rid of his retained attorney from Olivero's law firm in favor of a public defender. Those who were paying attention back in November might have noticed that the judge was so unimpressed by the claims that were made by Swinney's attorney then and how badly it was handled that his attorney actually apologized to his client in court on the record about how badly he screwed up. And some of this train whistle. Because that car is anyway, so his new attorney was trying to resolve some of the issues, but because this has already been litigated twice, the burden was going to be very high for him coming into this. It seems that he is trying to use certain measures of the Oregon Constitution as justification for why the bail currently set for a little over $500,000 is excessive. I haven't actually gotten a chance to look over those parts of the Oregon Constitution yet to see what is different from the claims that were made before and what are being made today, why that creates an idea of a different burden of proof. But I do plan to go ahead and take a closer look later on tonight. One of the key things that needs to happen for these release hearings is there needs to be a substantial change in circumstances between when a previous hearing happened and when you're coming back to the judge for reduction, such as a major loss of income or some other circumstance that you're able to be judged to be more likely able to safely be out of jail pre-trial. One of the big claims that his attorney was trying to make was the protests have gone down. Disregarding the fact that his claim started off that the protests were because of Derek Chauvin, massively undercutting the entire argument about police brutality, Black Lives Matter, dealing with fascism, all of that stuff. That is just, it stung me when I heard that, and I would have loved to say something, but not my place. Of course, the DA did point out protests are still going on. They may not have the hundreds or thousands of people that they did in the summer. They may not have the consistent counter-protests from Patriot Prayer and Proud Boys and such that largely fragmented after January 6th or got focused in Salem. But protests are still going on. And the idea was that because there's less protests, Swinney isn't going to be tempted to counter-protest or rally people to counter-protest or possibly commit crimes. Again, that didn't seem to be very well taken by the judge. They did talk about his finances some. Like me, he's a disabled veteran. Does get some money from the VA, although my understanding when he's incarcerated like this, even pre-trial, they stop those payments. So he's not actually getting anything right now. It said that he's been in jail for 266 days. And I had heard yesterday talk that they're only trying to push for trials for people that have been in custody for over a year. So it looks like he could be waiting 4, 5, 6 more months before a trial even happens, if that ends up being accurate. The judge did confirm that the ability to pay is not the only concern when you look at bail reduction. They also look at the nature of the charges, the risk to the community, the likelihood that bail is going to entice someone to return. Previously, it's been pointed out to the court, He's a Texas resident, still has Texas ID. He has no home in Oregon or Washington. His ties were very minimal here, and he was considered to be a very high flight risk. On top of as D.A. Vasquez said back in November, he was a lightning rod. Judge Silver really didn't like that term, but if shoe fits, wear it. His defense attorney did also bring up the shoddy work done by his last attorney, and yeah, shoddy work is something of an understatement. The DA did point out that while he doesn't have income himself, or he is well below the poverty line, there have been crowdfunding attempts to get money for Swinney, primarily through Give, Send, Go. There were some other GoFundMes and stuff, and some of them were taken down because of the nature of the charges against him. But at this time, he's only had about $8,600 donated. And for his bail, currently, he would have to raise about $54,000. And this is what's happened since September. Talks about the idea that protests are going down. The DA pointed out a quote-unquote near shootout that happened recently with the Justice for Patrick Timmons group. I don't know a whole lot of details about it, but from my understanding, there is a lot more to that particular story than just, oh, there was a near shootout. But that's completely different. That's neither here nor there. I did confirm that having a new attorney is not a reason to relitigate. These hearings had already happened twice before. Getting a new attorney doesn't qualify you to rehash everything that didn't go your way before. Otherwise, people would just fire their lawyers if they don't like what the judge said, get a new lawyer and get a do-over. The defense attorney really didn't like the comparisons to forum shopping. It is a violation of attorney ethics against essentially filing frivolous motions. So that's something that any self-respecting attorney should be doing their best to avoid. He also did point out that if his entire community, which is on a national level, maybe even international, was only able to raise $8,600 to try to bail Swinney out, it was further proof that the bail that was set was too high for him to possibly pay. The judge, though, looking at everything, said that they were having trouble seeing how the circumstances were vastly different between November and today. The protests are still ongoing. The DA is, the defendant's attorney is trying to use different sections of the Oregon Constitution to try to get different standards and basically take a second bite at the apple. The idea of bail denial is not going to be heard today. There simply wasn't enough time, and the defense didn't get time to make a proper response to the motion. He was literally told about the idea 5 minutes before court started. I was in the room when it was said. And that was just way too fast for him to be able to represent his client that way. Some other stuff that I need to look into. The defense attorney said that he filed a writ of mandamus against a specific judge. It was a Judge Mode. I need to look and try to see what that was, because it sounded like he's trying to force some other judge to lower the bail, or force a different hearing, and I'm not sure how that meshes with the hearing that we just had today. At the end of the day, though, the judge did look at the constitutionality of the claims that were being made and the history, and decided that the defense attorney didn't make the claim that there was significantly different circumstances between November and now, that the DA's motion had merit, and she was upholding the DA's motion to cancel everything that happened today. It sounded afterwards like there is a possibility that his attorney may try to appeal this decision, sending it up to the Court of Appeals. I don't know if that's something that can be done alongside the ongoing trial, or if that puts a hold on things, or if he's even going to do it. He may end up just licking his wounds and going on. I have been in talk with a colleague of mine who's got experience in a different state, and it really, he sat in on the hearing, and it really sounded like this defense attorney was pretty new, and this was kind of a learning experience. He tried really hard, but I think the deck was stacked against him. The last attorney made so many errors and bad calls that there is a lot more that needs to be done before he can make the kind of claims that he's trying to do for bail reduction. Anyway, that's what I've got here. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on YouTube, send it out to everyone, and hopefully later on tonight I can do a little more research, get some more documents together, and put out an article on the website. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and have a good rest of the day. Peace.